In the mix with DJ Rambo Rich.
So welcome to the What's That Music podcast. I'm your host, DJ Rambo Rich, and today's guest is a session bass player called George Price. And with no further ado, I'm just going to get him to introduce himself, tell us a bit about himself, and we'll take it from there. So first of all, George, thank you very much for agreeing to be a part of this. Really great to hear from you when you said you wanted to be on the podcast. So yeah, if you could just introduce yourself to the audience, tell us about your music, and then we'll start the rest of the episode.
All right. Well, hey, so thanks for having me on. That's cool. It's always good to put a name to a face as well. So yeah, I'm George. I am 30 years old. I am a musician. So I grew up in Preston, a little town called Horton, which is, if anyone, obviously the locals would know, like Wantledale, Bamber Bridge, Chorley, Blackburn. You know, I went to school around there, which was great. And at the age of 18, I left my little town of Horton to come and study in London, and I went to do a degree, actually, in the bass guitar. So it's a popular music performance degree, specialising in all things bass, and as you can see there, hanging up behind me, and, you know, that is my life. I'm a bass player. I session for kind of anyone or anything that comes up. It could be sort of any style, really. At the moment, I'm doing a lot of country and soul and blues, but I'm playing all sorts of crazy things, and that is it. And then on the side of playing bass, I do a lot of busking on the underground and above ground. So I go to places like Richmond or Kingston or Wimbledon, which is cool. But what happened was, to get into busking, I actually started that in Preston town centre, just outside. I don't even know if it's still there, like Fishergate, maybe Primark. I used to busk outside there quite a lot.
Still there. Yeah. Opposite.
I used to do a lot of that.
Opposite, like the church. There's like a church there.
Yes.
Yeah. That's still all there. Yeah. The church was turned into a restaurant, but then the restaurant failed, so it's just an empty building now. But
right.
Yeah, it's all still there. Yeah, all still there. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I used to play there. I used to go there. I generally on like weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and I would just play for a couple of hours. And that was kind of how the busking started. And it's just snowballed. And now, because I'm living in London, it's literally my income, and that's kind of what happens. So I just play most days of the week and see what happens. And any odd jobs come in, session work, get the stuff, learn it, play it, do the gig, on to the next one. That's how it goes.
Oh, yeah. Definitely, I know what you mean there. As a DJ, I totally get, you know, whatever comes in, you get there, you get the work done, don't you? But no, that's really interesting what you're saying there. So I think what we're going to do now is move to the first round, which is mixtapes and memories. So 1 second and we'll be back. Okay, so this is mixtapes and memories. And in mixtapes and memories, we talk about past memories in music and how you first got into music. So to start that off, what is your first memory of music?
Oh wow, okay.
I like to always take people back with this round, like you don't think about this much, but like how did I start? So yeah, what was the first memories of music?
You know, I think when I think about it, the first thing that I can actually think of, I was at my grandparents' house, and for whatever reason, my granddad started playing Dire Straits' Walk of Life over his speakers or whatever, and obviously Grandma at the time was, I don't know if she was very impressed with that because he was playing it really loud. I don't know, but I just remember hearing Walk of Life by Dire Straits. I don't know how old I was, and I don't think that was the first time I'd ever heard music, but that was just the first memory that I thought of then that brought me back to that. So I would definitely say that is probably something that I remember the most of that. And of course, probably just my dad listening to Led Zeppelin in the house.
Yeah.
That was a very often occurrence that happened. He was always into Led Zeppelin and vinyls and that, and I think he played He played a lot of those when I was growing up. But yeah, I think Walk of Life with my granddad was the first thing that came to my head when you said that.
I love that. I love that. This is why I
Yeah,
like
me
doing this
too.
round, because like it takes you back to memories and you think, oh gosh, I totally forgotten about that. It's great.
Yeah.
So with that theme, what was the first sort of album or piece of music you remember buying?
Okay. So I remember my first disc was a Busted album.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember when that was, but it was from HMV, and I'm pretty sure that was in Preston that I got that from.
Yeah. I mean,
and I remember getting it. And one thing about CDs that I always really liked, I don't even know if they do them anymore because I don't really buy CDs anymore because obviously a lot of it's online or whatever. But I remember pulling out the sleeve and reading the lyrics as the tunes were going by, which is a really nice thing. So
I mean, I still buy CDs. I'm like, I think till the day I die, I'll be buying CDs, cassette tapes. Like, I mean, I obviously listen to digital music, but I don't. I like to keep. I like the physical thing. I like the distraction of not being like. If you've got a CD, you can only listen to a CD. You can't like start going on an app, and I always use it as a thing to sort of escape from just a bit of time for yourself. But no, yeah, I love that. I also love that you said Busted there because I don't feel like they get the appreciation of like what good musicians they actually are.
They're insane. I seen them live, and I was amazed at just sort of how great they are. And they definitely got passed up as just, I don't know, just some sort of cool kids, playing. But they are actually really good musicians. It's cool.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you listen to like find out who they listen to, it's all the greats of like rock music and stuff. So like, of course they're gonna be like if they're listening to the greats, they're gonna be of a standard. Do you know what I mean? Like if they've got the passion for it's what got them into it, and this is why I like doing this round is to see how people got into music and what inspired them to get into music. So it's great. So what was the first time you thought, you know what, listening to music, it's not enough anymore. I'm gonna have to perform some music. So what was the first time you actually performed?
Tricky one. So the way that I actually got into playing was, I think it was through school, or there were some neighbours down the road that had some lessons with a guitar teacher. Because I started on guitar originally.
Yeah.
And they had a really great teacher who was called Mr. Topping, and fantastic guitar player. He was brilliant. So I had some lessons with him, and that was my first instance of playing it and realizing that this is sort of what I want to do. And I started on guitar and I did some stuff. I'm pretty sure I did a couple of grades. But my teacher was cool, but man, he had me playing some insanely hard stuff. I seem to remember this Spanish tune that I had no idea what I was doing. He was like, "Just play this." So I ended up learning that for some absolutely bizarre reason. I carried on in guitar through school, and then a local band that was near me was looking for a bass player. Now, I'd never touched a bass, I don't think, at this point, but my dad has loads of instruments. Like, he's a guy that just seems to accumulate stuff. And anyway, he had this cool bass, and the band were looking for a bass player, and we knew the guys in the band, and I went to school with them, and my dad said, well, why don't you do this? I was like, all right. I'd never touched a bass in my life, picked up the bass, and then for whatever reason just sort of fell into it, ended up having lessons as well as being in this band, and now it's just been bass ever since, pretty much.
That's cool. Yeah. That is cool, man. I was actually, there's two questions I have for you here. One, it's great that your dad was like, yeah, you should do this, and like encouraging you. It's great to hear that, like, because that is how the next, like Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
That's how it happens, like just, and two, I was going to actually ask, like, what made you go towards the bass? And it's interesting, that story, that like an opportunity came up and you saw that, hang on, there's a chance to get with people that are into the same thing that I am, and I can get some experience. Okay, I have to slightly adjust the parameters of what I'm doing, but it's an opportunity, and it was interesting there. So I love that. I really do. Like, I'm going to go back to it again, but I do love that your dad said, yes, this is an opportunity. That is great.
Yeah. And talk to my parents about everything. It could be if it's job related, or whatever. Ask for their opinion and generally just take their opinion. Obviously, I get to decide on my own accord whether it's a good idea or not. But I really value their experience and opinions. I mean, they know what they're doing. I think they've been around for a while. They know what they're doing, and when they say something is generally a good idea or a bad idea, I'll take their opinion, and probably roll with it. But yeah, they're just like, go and play the bass, see what it's like. We'll just, it'll be cool. Play some music with friends, get paid, and see where it goes. And that's just kind of how it's going.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So the final question of this round is, so what was the first gig, concert, show that you saw, and how did seeing that music live, influence you?
Okay, so there's two I can think of here. I've definitely, I don't know where these two would sit, but I remember watching John Bon Jovi, and I think that was at the Emirates Stadium in Manchester. I was trying to work out how long ago that was. I must have been maybe 13, 14. I'm not quite sure. But their stage set was awesome. They had this huge Cadillac thing, and the flipping stage was massive. And I think that was my first ever massive gig that I've ever been to. But then on the other hand of that, I think the other thing I saw was a Led Zeppelin tribute, and they were called Whole Lotta Lead. And I think we saw them. Oh yeah, it's a cool name. And they were really good as well. They were insane. I can't remember where we saw them. I think it might have been Manchester again. But that was really good. So those two concerts are probably the first things like my first live gigs that I remember. But they were insane. They were so good.
But what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the next round, which is on repeat. So 1 second and we'll be back. Okay, so this is on repeat. So in on repeat, we talk about the present and what you're currently doing. So to start that off, what's your biggest daily challenge at the moment for music?
Well, I would say learning material at the moment, because I've got about, I tallied up the other day, and it was roughly about 100 tunes over the space of 4 or 5 different acts that I've got to play with at the end of this month, doing a festival in Essex. And the way it works with this festival in particular, I'm in a house band, and we get tunes prior to the gig, and then we've got to learn them. We might get a bit of a rehearsal before meeting the artists, but there's a fairly good chance that it'll just be, hi, my name's George, bang, let's play. So I think the daily challenge is just internalizing, learning these songs, and making sure that if they've got any questions, like, did you learn this bit of music or this particular phrase, and some of them are like that, then I can just go and say, yeah, let's just play the gig. And that's probably the daily challenge.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, like, and so how would you, in terms of practicing for that amount of music, how do you sort of compartmentalize all the different music?
This is a really great question that I'd love to be able to sort of answer properly. My brain, I feel like it's like a massive filing system, and it's like a big library, and I just sort of learn something and then put it to the side, learn something else, and then when I have to relearn the stuff that I looked at, just kind of have to find it, search it, open it, and refresh. But I just try and learn everything from memory. I think charts are fine, and obviously if there's something like mega complicated, then I might chart it out or have a cheat sheet. But I'm, for some reason, and I don't know why, I always try and do stuff from memory.
Yeah.
Because then I can really enjoy the gig, or it just, if I know what's happening inside and out, I feel like I'll do a good job rather than focusing on reading a specific part. So it's just a case of going over it and over it and over it and practicing and just making sure that I know what I'm doing, and if it's not right, just do it again. And I'm pretty sure when I started guitar, my guitar teacher came up with this rule of 3, and it is probably a rule that other people apply as well. But if you can do it right 3 times in a row, there's a really good chance that you very rarely make a mistake. So if you can play something 3 times perfectly, it'll be good 99% of the time. So that's kind of how it goes.
You saying about the rule of 3 reminds me of something I do with my DJing. So when I'm working out a set for a night, say I've got like a 5-hour set, I work out, okay, what do I want them to feel in the different, every hour, where do I want to be in the set?
That's
and then
cool.
When I come to finding songs for each individual hour, I work out 3 songs that go together, and then that's the starting point. Okay, so that's the vibe of that hour. 3 songs together. That's these 3 songs go together. I can mix them well. Mix them in any order. Doesn't matter which order they're in. And then I start from that and I build the set out from that. So it's interesting you're saying about the rule of 3 there. What made me think of that?
Yeah.
What does daily success look like for you in terms of, like, when you get to the end of the day? What makes you think, okay, I've achieved what I need to achieve today?
Well, I think because of being self-employed has its advantages and disadvantages. So, being self-employed, and I suppose at the moment my main income is busking, because I get gigs, but they're sort of few and far between. Sometimes there are periods where there's a lot of gigs and periods where there are no gigs. So in the downtime of no gigs, I go busking. So I suppose in terms of daily success, if I kick myself into gear, get out and play, and I always try, I try and earn as much as possible, but if I earn basically the travel cost that it took me to get to the destination to play and back, and I recoup that cost, I suppose that's a success in its own right.
Yeah.
Anything extra is like really good, great. So I suppose in terms of that, it's getting out, doing the job, and coming back, either breaking even or making more in terms of a busking scenario. And then in terms of like a practice scenario, if I can just play it better at the end of the day than when I started, then that's the success.
Yeah. I love that.
But obviously, it doesn't happen every day, though. You know, some days there's no success. Some days, if I'm practicing something, I like to play fusion and some like heavy jazz stuff sometimes. If I can't get that right on Monday and I'm still not happy with it on Wednesday, I just have to keep going until I get it right on Thursday.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like that. It's hard,
Definitely.
but it's okay. It's all about pushing yourself and trying to make it better for you.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it could be so hard, though, when you're in the midst of, like, you've got this assignment, shall we say, and you have to get this done by a deadline, but then just things they're not
That's
connecting,
hard.
and you're like, oh my God, where do I go from here? And then you try something and that doesn't work. And then you get to like closer to the gig and you're like, okay, you can do this, Richard. And then something happens and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I need to lead with this. And then slowly you work it out and then boom, it's all right, but it takes time sometimes to just get into the flow state, I think I'm trying to say.
Definitely. And, taking breaks is fine. You know, I'm always good for taking like a 20-minute break for a cup of tea or whatever, just to break up the monotony of riffing and trying to get it right. And if it's just not working, my mum always says, just take a break. Leave it, come back to it, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, it's all fine. So, yeah.
That's great, man. Like, I think we covered everything we need to cover there. So what we're going to do now is move on to the next round, which is discography. So welcome to discography. So to start it off, so what music have you released? Of the music that you've released, what are sort of your favourite things to sort of play? Maybe it might be a style, certain genre of music. So what you've released, what is your sort of favourite things to play?
So the stuff that I'm mega influenced by, I suppose, is Pink Floyd. I always liked David Gilmour's tones, and my dad is a huge fan of Pink Floyd and raves about them, and he's always said for years, play Pink Floyd. Like, play it. It will do well money-wise, people recognise it. Everyone sort of knows a Pink Floyd tune, even if they don't really know it.
Is it Dark Side of the Moon, the famous album?
Dark Side of the Moon, yeah. And there's a really great album called Pulse, which is live.
Is there something also called Off the Wall?
Another Brick in the Wall, I think, is the one.
Yeah, I knew there was something to do with a wall. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Off the Wall is Michael Jackson, I think.
I'm getting people confused there. You might be, yeah. I think you're right, yeah.
But yeah, so my dad was like, play Pink Floyd. So after years, literally years of him saying this, I was like, do you know what? He's probably right here. Let's just try. And I smashed out Comfortably Numb and Shine On You Crazy Diamond. There's probably a couple other things. And people, they might not necessarily know it, but subconsciously they know the sound. So I play a lot of that. So a lot of the instrumental music that I've released, I suppose, is in vein of that. But, I listen to so many different genres that it's kind of all sort of meshed into one. So, I mean, if people want to find out where the music is on Spotify or Bandcamp, and the name is my name, so George Price, and then bass on the end. Right. So George Price bass. And there's roughly about 10 tunes knocking around somewhere, which is all in the sort of style of that, I suppose.
What we'll do when we release this episode is I'll make sure there's links to it so that people can check that out, because I want to be as helpful as possible. What was I going to say? You say about your dad saying about Pink Floyd. I'm quite a big Jimi Hendrix fan.
Nice.
From an early age, I got into Jimi Hendrix. I got the Greatest Hits album. And I was like, what is this sound? I listened to
insane.
Purple Haze for the first time. And I was like, I want more of this music. It's great. I went to Hard Rock Cafe in London, and they had one of his guitars. Like the only one that he had custom made. It's like a purple guitar, I think. And they let me hold it. And then as they let me hold it, they were like, okay, by the way, this is worth this amount of money. I was like, there you go.
Yeah.
Please take this from me. I don't think I can afford this.
I think I remember listening to, I don't know if the album is actually called Radio 1 or something, but Jimi Hendrix did a tune, and I think it's called Radio 1, and it's only about a minute and a half long. I just remember listening to this on the way to I don't know where I was going with mum and dad in the car or whatever, and I was listening to Radio 1 by Jimi Hendrix. And then the other songs on the album are just... I don't think anyone had ever heard anything quite like Jimi Hendrix before. And then when they saw him perform, they just kind of got it, but didn't get it at the same time. He's a bit of a strange guy, but he was insane.
I think this word's used too much, but I think he was a bit of a maverick.
I think so. Definitely.
I love that, man. Like I say, I think what we're going to do now is move on to the last round, which is Dream Big. So 1 second, then we'll be back. Okay, so this is Dream Big, and in Dream Big, we talk about the future and your aspirations for the future. So to start it off, what is your biggest aspirations for your music in the future?
Good question. I mean, I would like it. In terms of my music, I have no idea where that's going to go. At the moment, I just use it to pedal, I suppose, me in terms of being seen in public. So my music helps me get out and about because I play original music. I play on the streets or whatever. So I get out and about and play in front of people, and you never know who's going to walk up by the pavement or whatever. So I have no idea where that would go, but I would like it to perhaps at some point enter a more complete band, because at the moment I'm just a one-man band with my instrument. I have everything in terms of stuff that I can sound like a full band. I've got a pedal that sounds like a drummer. You know, it's a drum pedal, and it's by a great company called Singular Sound, and it almost sounds like a real drummer, but it's not quite a real drummer. So I would like it at some point to maybe turn into a duo and then grow a little bit further, but I mean, I have no idea about that. And then in terms of session career, then that's just, we always dream about landing a huge gig, and I have no idea what this huge gig is. I mean, I've been to stadiums and watched stadium shows. Like, I watched Taylor Swift, which was, dare I say, incredible. And I've seen all sorts of stuff, but I've never been on the other side where I'm playing to a stadium, which would be really nice.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I would just like to have recognition of being, hopefully, what people would see as a successful session player. I'd like to be recognized as a session player. But I don't know. I think just be successful in some way by earning money or landing records or something. I'd like to be like Nathan East, who has played. I mean, I don't want to misquote, but I watched a podcast, and he was in the hundreds, if not up to 1,000 records that he's played on.
Wow.
Which is just incredible. Now I'm on like 50, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, but obviously there's a long way to go.
To be fair to you, 50 is still a lot. Like, you know, like that's still a lot.
It's still a good number.
Like,
it's still a good number of tunes. But I don't know. I'd just like to record more and play bigger shows and somehow be recognized as a member of the top bass players. But obviously that's insane. There are so many great bass players in the world anyway. You know, there's hundreds and thousands and possibly even millions. But I don't know. Maybe just like that. It's cool.
In terms of, like, you were saying there about like a duo or something, like, how would you feel like playing with, like, because obviously you're like, I have experience of being like a lone wolf in what I do, because everything I do, I'm just on my own musically. Like, that's why I've started this to collaborate with people. So how would you feel about like suddenly like having other people there that you can rely on? Like, how would that dynamic work for you, do you think?
I mean, that's cool. In terms of the solo project that I would do, I think I've perhaps done it once or twice over the years, maybe even for some sort of uni project, but I've never sort of run with it. I think it would be fine. I have no idea how it would work in terms of a lot of the stuff that I play is very improvised in terms of the structures, so wildly different all the time, and every time the tune is played, or let's call it an idea, because it's not really a set tune, the idea changes a lot. So it would be definitely something to workshop and to try and make happen. I think it would be quite maybe challenging, but we like the challenges that music throws us, I suppose. So I don't know. I think it would be quite difficult, but rewarding if the moment came about and it actually worked. But I don't know. I've not tried it yet, so I don't know.
I always find though, like if like I always try and find people that I want to like collaborate with, however that might be. I always think of this: if we didn't make any music, would we get along and would we have a good time? And if the answer's yes, then I'm like, well, if we make music, would we make good music together or whatever it might be, collaborating to do? Then if the answer's yes, then I'm like, yes, I should probably work with these people, because if the answer's no to that, then obviously it's not going to work.
Yeah. I mean, I like working with people as the job of the session player is to, sometimes it's just a case of you're the only one new to the gig and you got to get there and you got to play with these people and see how it goes. Now, I consider myself as like a friendly dude and
definitely I get that from speaking to you,
sociable guy.
100%.
I can. Oh, cheers! I go there and play the gig. Hi, what's your name? I'm George. What's your name? Jeff. Cool. Let's play a gig and see what happens. So I have no issues. Obviously, working with people, but I don't know. It's quite hard to see new people all the time. I don't really know where I'm going with this. Quite hard sometimes to get away from the lone wolf mentality and communicate with people that you've never met before.
Yeah, it is challenging,
and just
isn't it?
play music. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
because being like a lone wolf, you are quite isolated from other people, so it takes time. So I use the word recalibrate.
Definitely.
So like, be part of the team essentially. But like I say, because like the thing I've really learned recently is I love working with new people that are passionate about. It's great, isn't it? It's like this podcast, for example. It's great speaking to you, for example. It's someone else new in a different field that I know limited amount about, but now I'm speaking to you, I know a bit more about it. And you never know with all these collaboration where, oh, hang on a minute, Richard, do you know a bass player? Yes, I do actually. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. Like the last interview I've just done is with a singer-songwriter called Adam Wedd. And I said to him, I was speaking to a bass player next. He was like, "Oh yeah, send me his details over." Like, see, and this is what it's all about. Like,
that's how it goes. Yeah,
I want the podcast to be a thing where guests have been on it. You go, "Oh, I like the guest he's got there. I should probably work with that guy." And before you know it, things are coming out of it spontaneously. So it's all for that, man. But I just want to make sure I answer all the questions we need to answer. So. That was your ambition. So, in terms of dream artists to work with, it's a hard question, this, I know, but who are the top ones? Let's say the top three.
Tricky one. I mean, I don't know if... Yeah, do you know what? I mean, it's hard.
It changes daily, depending on what you listen to, I think, as well.
Yeah. There's a bass player called Stanley Clark. I don't know if... I don't know how that would work, but I would just like to meet him and just be like, yo, your music is dead awesome. I would really like to shake your hand and say how great you are. So maybe he would be on the list. But in terms of actual bands or artists, that's really hard. I'm just trying to think what I've been listening to a lot of recently, and I've gone blank. But if they were still alive, I would have probably chosen Bob Marley, because I've always
of course. Yeah, I'm loving that answer. Yes.
Always really liked him and the way that he chats about stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he was doing an interview, and the interviewer asked Bob, and he was like, do you feel rich? Are you rich? Because obviously at this point Bob Marley was making loads of money from his records, and he was like, yeah, I'm rich, but I don't care about the money. I just care about the richness of life, and it was all sort of philosophical or whatever, and it was great. But
Yeah,
I just felt like
yeah,
that was really cool.
definitely,
So
definitely.
if Bob Marley was alive, then Bob. But just trying to think,
I
really.
mean, it is a hard question. It's part of the reason I ask it because sometimes I've had some really obscure ones, and people have like known exactly what they wanted, and also it's not like a sort of more well-known artist. It's like some, like you were saying about the bass player there. I've never heard of
Mm,
that person personally myself, but like
right.
now you said that, I'm gonna go look that guy up. I always look up the people, so it's great to hear some different answers.
Yeah. Okay. I've got another one for you. Well, so it would be Stanley Clarke, who he was. I mean, he's still alive, which is great. But he's a mega fusion bass player and had a really cool album called School Days back in the probably late 1970s, early 80s, and that was an insane fusion album. So there's him, and then another favorite of mine, who sadly has died, was John Entwistle from the Who.
Right? Yeah,
And
yeah,
if he was still alive, I would have really liked to have met that guy as well.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
he was insane. I'm just trying to think of anyone sort of like anyone alive, but I can't think of anyone. That's hard. I can't answer that one at the moment. Sorry, mate.
If you remember, it's all right. If you remember before we end, we can come back
Yeah.
to it. It's not a problem. I mean, sometimes with these sort of interviews, you can be put on the spot, and then later on, you're like, "How did I forget that that song was by, for example, Diana Ross?" That's what famous one
Yeah.
I've done on the podcast. And I'm like, "How did I forget that that song was by her?" Like, I'm a bloody DJ, for goodness sake. You should know these things. But you know, it's just
It happens.
it's just Tuesday morning blues, I think.
Yeah.
So, in terms of dream festivals or concerts or venues that you would love to play at, what is
Ooh.
a top one that you think, one day I'm gonna be
I
there?
would like to play. It's definitely in America, but I'm not quite sure where it is. But there's a venue called Red Rocks Amphitheatre,
Do you know
and
that is the
it's
area you've just said that. There's a
right.
guy, the last interview I've just done, he mentioned this question, Red Rocks, like,
Yeah,
so
it looks insane,
this
and I
place
don't
must
know
be
what it is
legit.
about it. I don't know what it is about it because I've heard interesting stories about it. Some say that the sound there is fantastic, and some say it's a bit meh. But like, I would love to play that, and I don't know why because it's just in the middle of nowhere, a big amphitheater, and it's just called Red Rocks. So that would be cool, and I don't know if it would ever happen, but it would be cool. Would be the Las Vegas Sphere because the Grateful Dead, or what they're called now, they're called Dead and Company, which is like John Mayer and Grateful Dead members and a few other people. They uh, played the Las Vegas Sphere for a period of time. I don't know if you've ever seen the pictures, but it looks mega trippy. Like if you were on something incredible, I'm sure it would feel like this because it's
Yeah,
just insane. So I reckon
yeah.
the Las Vegas Sphere would be a really good venue to play. But
I'm
I don't
liking
know.
this. I'm liking this. There's some very different answers here, like because
I'm
I've had a
sure.
lot of, I've had either rappers or a lot of rappers and DJs, and we like depending on your music category of artist, they're gonna be similar. But it's nice to hear some different answers to the
Yeah.
questions. So definitely, like I say, so this is an interesting question. Is there any like other aspirations? Like the one I always say is I'd love to be involved in the writing and making of like a dance James Bond theme. Like that's an aspiration of mine for the future. Is there anything like a bit mad left of field that you think one day I'd love to do sort of this project?
I've thought about this, and some people have said to me in the past that it might be quite cool. Uh, I'd love to try and get the music that I make, and if possible, maybe even some of the bands that I play, because I think some of their music is uh, definitely worth it as well. But like music into film or some sort of stinking thing. But I definitely would like to hear stuff that I've made in the past, or even stuff that I will hopefully make in future, enter the film score in one way or another. I don't know whether it would be accompanying a specific scene or writing music for a small film or something, but I'd love that to happen. But that is, I don't even know where you start with that. Trying.
I would say to you, if it, like, I feel like we can make this happen, man. I think we can make this happen. I would say to you, look for people that are making films for film festivals.
Right, that's a good idea.
Because I used to do acting, right? And I always used to remember that they were like, people are looking to, like, in film especially, because it's so like a snapshot and they've got the shot, and then they're trying to get things for deadlines for film festivals. Because you have to, some film festivals, you have to submit the film by a deadline, so they are quite strict on like how long you've got to like make the film, produce the film, post-production and all that. I would say film festivals.
Interesting. Good idea.
Because then, if it's successful, think about this. If it's successful, right, at the film festival, wins some award or whatever it might be, you've got your name there in the credits. The music is in the film, and that's a stepping stone to like the big leagues of. That is my personal opinion. I could be completely wrong. I don't know.
No, it's a good opinion. It's a good opinion. I think that's right.
That would be my advice if I was looking for that film festivals.
I like it.
But I'm super happy with what we've spoken about there, man. I'm going to wrap things up now. So I just want to say, first of all, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you giving me your time to speak about the music you do. I want to ask you, what platforms can people find you on? If you could just let us know that, then we can help you get people to listen to what you do and the stuff you do. So what platforms are you on?
So my music is on Spotify, probably all the other major streaming platforms, and some of it's available to buy on Bandcamp as well. And the name that people would search would be George Price Bass, all one word, no capitals, doesn't matter. And yeah, it's all on there. Instagram at George Price Bass, TikTok at George Price Bass. So if I've got it all correct, all the platforms should be at George Price Bass, and it's all there to watch and listen to, hopefully.
Perfect. And so that's great, man. I really appreciate you spending the time to speak to me. And I think it's great that, like, you were speaking before about how your parents were like really like instrumental in like supporting you. And I want to just say hats off to your parents there, man. Like that's great that they like were so encouraging to support you and like
Definitely
pursue your passion. It's great to hear that. And if you have any big gigs or anything, just give us a shout and I'll help you support whatever you're doing by putting posts on the Instagram channel so that people can hear what you're up to. And now you've been on the podcast, like if you got anything that you want shared or anything, just send it over, because this is what it's all about with this podcast. It's about giving people somewhere else that they can send their stuff and showcase what they're doing. And I just want to build a community of people that actually like music, that are genuine, down-to-earth people that just want to connect and share music and put positivity out into the world, because there's a lot of negative at the moment. But we're going to change the universe by putting positivity out of the universe. I sound like a hippie here, but I do genuinely mean it. But no, thanks so much. Thanks so much for your time, and I'll leave you to it. You enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll speak soon, man.
You too, man. Appreciate it.
In the mix with DJ Rambo Rich.